Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. Hope your weekend is going well. And I actually got to have a little sip of coffee this morning so far. I did the 72-hour fast, went well, lost a few pounds. I know some of that's water, but it's kickstarting some fat loss. Going to keep that going for a little bit, reach some of the points I want to reach. So the fast went well, and now I'm just getting back into it lightly. So I'm not going to be drinking a ton of coffee today, but I am having a cup. And I'm having it in one of my Walt Disney mugs. You can see Walt on there. This is a 45th anniversary cup of Disneyland from 2000. Significance of that is 2000 was the first time my wife and I went to Disneyland. He's saying, and I went to Disneyland in 2000. So that's a commemorative cup from that year, and it has Walt on there. And I have Walt cup today because Walt knew Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was actually at the opening day of Disneyland. So that's sort of the connection there, because I don't have a Ronald Reagan cup, which I really should get a Ronald Reagan cup one of these days. Plan to do that. Want to say good morning to Thad. Thank you for showing up, Thad. So January 5th is always a significant day for me because I think back to January 5th, 1993. Drove in to the parking lot of the Die Hard building. Yeah, the Die Hard building. The Fox Century Plaza building. They used that for the exterior shots of the building for the movie Die Hard. And here I was driving into the parking lot of the Die Hard building. Went in. Reported to security like I was told to report to. Went up to the 34th floor, I believe it was, right close to the top. Was met by Mr. John Hall, who I'd been communicating with. After a brief wait, he took me in and introduced me to President Reagan. And for 30 minutes, President Reagan and I talked about things. And we talked about the pictures on his wall. We went over to the window and looked outside, and you could see the Fox studios down below and the fake buildings and different things. Told stories about some of the people that were in the pictures with him. Asked me questions about what I was doing. At the time, I was a college student going to college on the GI Bill. And it was just a remarkable meeting. And it really inspired me even more to develop communication skills. Ronald Reagan was known as the great communicator, and he was. And so that inspired me for communication, and I teach communication skills today. My effective communication classes dealing with violence and potential violence and de-escalation and conflict are very popular. Those are only going to grow and get more, and I plan on doing more in the communication fields because it's such an important topic. And President Ronald Reagan was one of the influences to make me want to really develop communication skills and go down that path. I have 2 books, this prize books in my huge collection, ones that I'm not going to be getting rid of anytime soon. And that's An American Life and Speaking My Mind, Selected Speeches of Ronald Reagan. Both of these books I took down to California with me. And they are both personally autographed and signed. To Alain Baris with Best Wishes, Ronald Reagan, January 5th, 93. Both of them have the same thing inside. Now, I share this, one, to motivate you because you can make things happen. So let's back up. The summer of 92. I was flipping burgers at Burger King. Actually, not flipping burgers, because you just take the burgers and you toss them onto a conveyor belt. They go through the conveyor belt, fall out the other side. You pick them up, you put them in the warming tray with the bun. When somebody orders them, you take them out of the warming tray and you put the stuff on. You microwave first before you put the mayonnaise and stuff on, and then you send it on down your way. That's how Whoppers were made, and that's what I was doing in the summer of 92. College job. Had an idea. I'd like to meet my first commander-in-chief. President Ronald Reagan. I even mentioned it to a coworker. I want to meet President Reagan. He was my first commander-in-chief. He laughed, told me to get back to the burgers. I went home that night, wrote a letter. You know, the old time, you know, I had a word processor, paper. You wrote an actual letter, folded it up, put a stamp on it, took it to the mail. That's what I did. Told the people at Burger King the next day, yeah, I sent Ronald Reagan a letter because I want to meet him. I want to meet President Reagan. They laughed, told me to get dropping some fries. About a week later, got back from Burger King. My flashing light was going on the answering machine. Remember those? Had a cassette tape in it. You had to rewind it and listen to it. I listened to the message. It was Mr. John Hall from President Reagan's office. He left a number for me to call. That day it was too late to call. Had to wait till the next day. I called. Mr. Hall asked why I wanted to meet President Reagan. Told him I was a college student going on the GI Bill. President Reagan was my first commander-in-chief. It'd be motivational, inspirational to have a chance to meet him. And I was going to be in California that summer. Had a trip planned. Unfortunately, President Reagan was on the road campaigning for President Bush at that time, the summer of '92. I said, what about Christmas? I might be in California at Christmas too. Mr. Hall said, call me back in October when we're doing that type of scheduling. So October came around. I made the telephone call. He said, remind me why you want to meet President Reagan. Well, I pull your file. I'm thinking, oh, they got a file on me now. I told him the same thing. I was a college student. Be motivational, inspirational to meet my first commander-in-chief, President Ronald Reagan. He said, can you be here on January 5th? I was like, yes, I can. He set the time. I said I would be there. Hung up the phone, called my sister who lived in Southern California, said, I'm coming to visit you at New Year's. Flew down there, stayed with my sister. January 5th, drove up. Didn't know it was going to be the Die Hard building till I got there. Got to spend 30 minutes with President Reagan. One of the first things he said, I apologize that we can't see Catalina Island. On a clear day, we can usually see it from here. And he just put me at ease because, yeah, I was nervous as heck. You know, I'm going to meet the former president of the United States, my former commander-in-chief. Put me at ease. And we just had a great conversation talking about things. And all of his attention was to me. I'm sure he treated me just like he treated everybody. Sure, when I was gone, it was over. But at that time, he gave me the attention and focused. And it was just a wonderful meeting. You know, we talked about the things outside. You know, he asked me what I was doing, and I wasn't working at Burger King anymore. I was working at the food service at the University of Montana during the school year. You know, he said one of his favorite jobs was working in a cafeteria doing dishes. It was the cafeteria in the girls' dormitory at college. That helped. But, you know, it was just a great conversation. You know, January 5th, 93 was right before President Clinton was inaugurated. And I asked him what he thought about President Clinton becoming president. And President Reagan would not say anything negative. He just said we would need to see how President Clinton could work with the Senate and the House for the betterment of the country. He did say he wished President Clinton would get a line item veto to help with the budgeting. He said that would have helped him as president, as it helped him when he was a governor of California and had line item veto. But, you know, I took that too, that he wouldn't say anything negative. And that's why you don't hear me talking as negative about this and that, trying to stay positive. But the goal of this is to share with you that you can do things that people laugh at you about. The people at Burger King laughed at me when I said I wanted to go meet President Reagan, my first commander-in-chief. They laughed. I wrote the letter. I made it happen. President Reagan was never going to call me and say, Alain, come and meet me. No, I wrote the letter. I asked. When the time didn't work out and there was a possibility of a different time, Yes, I'll do the different time. And then when they said there was a time, yes, I will be there. I will do whatever it takes to be there. And that winter, the storm got bad. I was going to drive down to California during the winter break and see my sister and drive back. But the weather was really bad. And I said, heck with it. And I bought a plane ticket. And I got down there to make sure that nothing would have me miss that meeting. So I made it all happen. You can make things happen in your life as well. You got to write the letter. Maybe today it's writing the email, making the phone call. But we can make things happen for ourselves, even when others think it's stupid and laugh and don't think it will happen. Now, I was way gone from Burger King when I actually met President Reagan, so I never got to put it in those people that laughed at me's face, but that's okay. I didn't do it for them, did it for me. You need to do things for you, because you can make things happen. And don't let others' thoughts and opinions and laughters and put downs stop you. You can do it. Write the letter. Say good morning to Dixon. Dixon says, super nostalgia Sunday. And your fast is over. Yes, the fast is over, which is great. And it has been nice to think back about the meeting of President Reagan, the signing of these 2 books, and just the lessons that I still carry forward. Not political lessons, but personal lessons, life lessons, communication lessons, and the lesson that you can make things happen. Write the letter. Think about something you want, go make it happen. Thank you, everybody. Have a spectacular Sunday. Be sure to sign up for the newsletter. It'll be going out this evening. EnjoyLifeSafely.com. You'll get a book on keeping yourself and your family safe. You'll get the newsletter every weekend. We will see you tomorrow.